finally got around to playing Spider-Man Web of Shadows. I keep hearing everyone on the internet saying how unique and fresh this game is, like 10, 15 years later. I'm surprised I never bought it when it came out. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, especially when it comes to the games. They're really fun. I'm so excited for the new one. And this one was pretty great in a lot of aspects. Some aspects I don't like whatsoever, but uh, when I bought this game, it didn't work, and I had to send it back, and I bought another one off eBay. So I had to wait even longer to play it, so my hype got even more high. So once I started playing it, everyone knows that famous scene of Peter Parker walking around, just sad, frustrated, pissed off, like just does not care about anymore about what's going on. Really, really cool scene. Like all these buildings are blowing up. There's symbiotes everywhere, and he's not doing anything really. He's just walking around, giving up. And it was a really cool idea. I wish they elaborated on in it more in the story. I wish they went farther with that idea. It would have been really cool to see. The rest of the story has nothing to do with Peter being an emotional wreck, being Spider-Man, and how much of a weight it puts on him in his life. There's nothing about that later on in the story. It's just kind of at the beginning, which I really, really wish this game did that story, because it would have benefited from it so much more. To get the negatives out of the way very quickly, just because there's a lot of pauses I want to talk about. There's so many bad missions in here. 95% of the missions, it's kind of like Avengers, and you gotta protect this person. It's cool saving civilians, that's what Spider-Man does, but this game lets you transfer between evil and good, and you get to wear the symbiote suit. But when you're wearing the symbiote suit, they make you rescue civilians and all that, and it doesn't like add up because you're supposed to be evil. Protecting a tank, just protecting people, and then doing a bunch of training at the beginning of Luke Cage. The pacing was all over the place at the beginning. In the middle, it gets a bit better. By the end, it gets a lot better. The ending really picks up. Just a lot of dull missions. There is good like when the boss fights happen, the boss fights are very unique, very well done. I like the design of Venom the most, I think. It was really cool seeing a three-headed symbiote. I've never seen that before. It's pretty freaky. But I really, really liked the Vulture boss fight. The Electro boss fight was really, really repetitive. The Vulture one's repetitive, but it's really fun. The only other negative thing I have to say is the story. It's a cool idea. Venom's taking over the city with symbiotes, and they're attaching on to people. But I wish there was more. Like, I like that part, but I want more to it. Maybe the other part could have been, Peter's trauma as Spider-Man. But like I said, they don't elaborate on that. If those two things were in this game, I really do think this would be pretty much perfect Spider-Man game. But those are two negatives. They are big complaints, though. That's why it's not a perfect game to me. They're not little nitpicks. I think they are something that this game could have used more of, like just better mission design, all that kind of thing. Yeah, it's positives. You get to choose between being evil and being good, and the consequences are pretty good when you're evil. Like that's what I did in my playthrough. I probably will play it again, but I already know what the ending is for the good ending. Being evil is pretty cool. Wearing the symbiote suit, you can throw cars around. The upgrades are pretty fantastic. I can't lie. They're all very useful. There's a lot of great symbiote upgrades. I didn't use much of the normal Spider-Man. I didn't really play as him. But the symbiote upgrades are just crazy. What you can do with your arm, how far you can stretch it. Your reach is pretty crazy. I really like the vibe of the game. The tone is great. The dark, edgy tone I really, really like. I didn't mind this version of Peter Parker as Spider Man. Like the voice actor was pretty decent, definitely not my favorite, but there are some parts where he really shines, and there's some parts where it does not land for me. You got a lot of supporting cast. You got Luke Cage, Moon Knight, Black Widow, Wolverine. There's a really, really cool Wolverine scene where he turns into a symbiote and Peter has to rip his Spider-Man has to rip Wolverine's legs off. I was not expecting there to be blood. I was super fucking surprised when I saw that happen. Like I said, this game has a lot of cool moments. There's a lot of good action set pieces, really well done, quick time events that are really engaging to play. And I really like even though the boss battles got repetitive, they found a cool way each boss fight to take them down, and it was unique to each of their own. There's one more thing I was gonna say. I kind of forgot. The aerial combat is terrific. Probably my favorite aspect of the game. If you hit Y, you'll do you'll shoot your web on an enemy, pull yourself to him, bounce off him, does a lot of damage. But it's really cool because you're fighting with like people on gliders like Green Goblin, which is not in this game. You attach to them, you jump off them, then you jump on the other person. It's really cool. And you can fight when you're on the side of the buildings. You got enemies running at you. You can really, really pack a huge punch and a lot of damage. It's really cool. And just being in, like, flying high in the air and actually being able to stay in the air and punching people and jumping off them and doing all crazy kind of combos and flips and moves. Definitely the best part of the game by far. I never played a Spider-Man game that gives you so much combat freedom. The combat can get a bit stale, but that's where the upgrades come in, and you can figure out a lot of different techniques. Some of them are hard to remember. Some are, for the most part, pretty easy. But all in all, I can say is it's a pretty good game. Definitely not perfect. If we had those two other aspects in there, that really could have bumped this game up. A bit laggy, a bit sometimes does feel unfinished. Sometimes the world feels empty, but they make up for that with there is a lot of people, but I mean all they do, even when you are normal Spider-Man, it's weird, they're scared of you. Maybe that's because I always did evil. Sometimes I would switch to the normal Spider-Man suit, but they would still run away, so maybe I would have to do good choices and they won't run away. I don't know. But really decent graphics, I guess, were decent. I played on the Xbox 360. It's kind of like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Sometimes you just stand there and talk to someone and there's a text box or there's a fucking cutscene. But there's some moments of Black Cat. They're somewhat good. Sometimes they're pretty bad. Sometimes I'm interested. Sometimes I'm not, because I'm kind of 50-50 with Black Cat. I never really liked her that much. I think Wolverine and Venom were the highlight. People complain that Venom wasn't in this game a lot, but I think he's in it just enough. He could have been in it more, but when he does show up, it makes his presence that more terrifying because you don't see him every 20 minutes. All around, I kind of do want a sequel to this game because it leads off on a cliffhanger. I think the ending was really well done. I kind of like endings like that. And if you haven't played this game, you're a Spider-Man fan, you should buy it. But I'm warning you, it's very expensive. I paid probably $130 for mine. It's a very rare game nowadays. It's hard to find. And more people are like looking for it. So the price is just going up more and more. If you don't want to play the game, and like I'm gonna tell you, you're not really missing out on much like lore wise, but you are missing out on like really cool moments that you haven't really seen in a game or a movie before. Very unique ideas, some areas kind of bad execution, but overall I had fun playing it. Was it worth $130? But the price will go up, and I'll definitely probably sell it one day. I don't know. But that's my review for Web of Shadows. Let me know what you think if you played the game. What ending did you get? I heard there's more than 2 endings, but I don't know how that's possible. Maybe there's like a secret ending. A lot of optional missions, which is pretty cool. Very repetitive gameplay. Sometimes it gets stale, but if you take a break in between, I think you'll refresh and get back into it no problem, because it is very fun to play at the end of the day. Thanks for watching.